There's one book, if there's one book in the Bible that you should know, that you want to master, that you want to read through and through, it is the book of Romans. Paul's letter from Corinth to the church at Rome, it was a house church in that they was small groups. They were doing small group ministry in Rome. And Rome, all roads lead to Rome. It was a metropolitan city, and the church had been started there. There's questions about who started the church, but it was many saints that was meeting in houses, in their home. And if you look in Romans chapter 16, you will see the whole list of people that Paul gives thanks to and greeting to and say kiss with a holy kiss. Almost the whole 16th chapter, all he's doing is giving thanks to those who were in Rome, greeting them and saying. And this book of Rome was taken to Rome by one of Paul's servants, a woman named Phoebe. She was to succor many, and she would help to Paul. And Paul, he sent that letter to Rome so that just in case he didn't make it there, he wanted them to understand the pure gospel. He wanted them to understand that they're not saved by keeping the law, and that circumcision does not save you, and that the Jews does not have a slant on the law. It's by faith that you believe that you're saved. He took them to court, and he took them to the courtroom and let them know that first of all, he let them know that I am a slave, I am a bondservant, I am a servant of Jesus Christ. I am bound. I am just like a slave that worked in the cotton field for Jesus. Well, I was doing something different before I met him, but when I met him, he changed my name, and he changed my direction, he changed my attitude, and he gave me something that I can't stop doing. Can't help it. I thought that I had it together. I am from Tarsus, and Tarsus was known for producing what they had. They had an export of goat's hair. It was a place where they made goat's hair. They made tents, and they sold that goat's hair where they made strands and covering for tents. But another byproduct of an export of Tarsus was that it was a producer of scholars. And Paul was one from Tarsus, and he knew the law. He studied under the feet of one of the greatest teachers of all time, Gamaliel. He sat at his feet and he studied the word, and he was puffed up on what he knew. He thought that he knew the whole law. He thought that what he was doing when he was persecuting the church was the right thing. He didn't believe that you could get to heaven except by the law, by keeping the law. But he bragged about it in Philippians. He said that if any man think that he may boast about what he knows, I more. I can boast a little more. He said, I was circumcised the 8th day. The 8th day he was circumcised because at the 8th day when a baby is born, his blood clots quicker at the 8th day. So he said, I was circumcised at the right time. He said, of the stock of Israel. He said, a Hebrew of the Hebrew. Concerning zeal, I was persecuting the church. Concerning the righteousness which in the law, I am blameless. He said, but since I met Jesus, I count all these things but dung. I count all these things but bowel movement. I count all these things but garbage. I count all of my degrees, all of that I have. I lay it all down that I may know Jesus Christ. The fellowship of his suffering. And I want to know him, and I can't get close enough to him. He said, you know what, I was foolish, I was stupid, I was crazy with all my PhDs, all my LLDs, and everything that I know, I was a mess. He said, because I was persecuting the church. He said, I was there when they stoned the first deacon. I was there when they stoned Stephen, and I consented to them stoning him because I was holding the coats. When they stoned the man, they would take the coats and lay them down, mink coats, trench coats, leather coats, whatever kind of coats they had, and somebody may come and steal them, so they had to have somebody there to guard the coat. Paul said, y'all stoned him. If I could stone him, I would stone him. But y'all stone him, I'll watch your coats. He said, I was a mess. I thought I had it right. I was a mess. And I would make women and men blaspheme. I would make them denounce and renounce their faith in Christ. I would drag them into the lion's den. I would bring them bound by chain. And I did all this. I was wrecking havoc in the church. I was tearing it up like a boar, like a wild hog that go in your garden and mess up your greens and beans and things. Just tear it all up. I was a mess. I was a fool. I was a fool for what I thought was right. But then something happened on my way to Damascus. On my way to Damascus, I met a man, and the brightness of his glory, he shined brighter than the noonday sun. And when I saw him, it blinded me and knocked me on my feet. He said, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, what would you have me to do, Lord? Who art thou, Lord? He said, I'm Jesus. Yeah. Who? I'm Jesus. He said, it's hard for you to kick against the prick. And Paul thinks, look, I'm messing with the church, and you Jesus. I ain't. He said, no, when you mess with me, mess with the church, you mess with the apple of my eye. Am I right? When you mess with the church, you mess with me. And when you mess with God's man in the church, you mess with God. Come on there, somebody. You better get up here and recognize. When you mess with the one that he called, when you mess with the one that he anointed, when you pray against and argue against and vote against the one that he called, you're not messing with him, you're messing with God. And your arms, come on here, somebody, your arms are too short to fight with God. Your brain is too small to outthink God. God only called one leader at one time. So Saul, you are messing with me when you mess with my church. The reason it's my church, I said to Peter, upon this rock, I will build my church. Not y'all church, but my church. Not your church, but his church. Oh, you are the best man in this church. Oh, you are is a bridesmaid in this church. Oh, you are the helper in this church. Oh, you are working together in like 1 Corinthians 12. Oh, you are arms, legs, feet, eyes, shoulders, brain, whatever it is. You are helpers together with Christ. So whatever you do in the church, there's gifts in the church. So he got a gift here, got a gift here, got a gift here. Then all the gifts come together, but Christ gets the glory. And he can only use one leader in the church at one time. He can't use every board and every auxiliary to tell how the church should be run. God will speak to the leader of the church and give him a vision that you won't see. But because of his faithfulness, because of his track record, you trust what God has shown him. And God will give you a blessing just for being humble. So meanwhile, back on the Damascus road. On the Damascus road, he ran into Jesus. And Jesus, when they stoned Stephen, Jesus stood up. On the right hand of power, he stood up. He stood up. And because he said, these guys got to be stone crazy. They were throwing stone, but he said they are stone crazy. Jesus said that's that cotton now. He got to say they just stone crazy. They're stone crazy. They gone stone crazy, but they stoning one who's testifying for me. So Saul run into Jesus. When you run into Jesus, you won't leave the same. Anybody run into him? When you run into Jesus, last Sunday we preached about change for good, for real. When you run into Jesus, you get a 2 Corinthians 5:17 problem. You get a new creature in Christ, and old things are passed away. You can't dance the way you used to dance. You can't cuss the way you used to cuss. You can't get angry the way you used to get angry. You can't be lazy like you used to be lazy. You can't rob God the way you used to. When you get changed, you get filled. And when you get filled, you are a new creation. If you're not new, if things are not new in your life, then you better check to see if you really met him. You might have met somebody, but if you meet Jesus, you will be changed. He will change your name. He will change your occupation. He will change the way you look. He will change the way you think. He will change the way you walk. He will change the way you talk. He will change the way you work. He will change the way you address yourself. He will change the way you study. He will bring a change in your life. You don't believe it? Meet the girl that at the well, the clean-up woman, John chapter 4. She was coming one way. She came to the well one way and left another way. Dropped her picture, went in, became a missionary, became an evangelist for Jesus Christ. If you don't believe you change, Steele and Matthew. Matthew was a tax collector. He was an IRS man, taking all the money from the county treasurer that he could take. But when he met Jesus, he became one of the